Experts say the Titanic sinking was caused in part by a long-forgotten fire. "There's an iceberg ahead," Frederick Fleet, a Titanic sailor, shouted. This dreadful phrase signaled the end of the ship. Sheena Maloney, an Irish writer, discovered proof that the ship survived massive ice. Worse, the Titanic's tragedy may have gone unnoticed. The sinking of the Titanic was unexpected. She started off as a maritime wonder. On April 10, 1912, the steamboat left Southampton for New York City after visiting France and Ireland. The ship never showed up. At 11:40 p.m., 4 days into her trip, the Titanic collided with an iceberg. The Titanic sank in hours, killing over half of her 2,224 passengers. That year, British authorities investigated a catastrophic tragedy. The British blamed the iceberg for the passenger liner's demise, but Maloney claims they should have known better. He provides evidence for the shocking charge. White Star Line faced rivalry in the early 20th century and built the Titanic. White Star was beaten by Hamburg America and Norddeutscher Lloyd's speedy passenger ships. To compensate for their slower speeds, the British company created larger, more luxurious boats. This design was the inspiration for White Star's RMS Olympic, HMHS Britannic, and RMS Titanic. The third ship in the fleet represented luxury cruises. The lighter style of the ship was inspired by the timeless appeal of the Ritz Hotel. The ship has luxury and interior design. There were saltwater pools, squash courts, and Turkish baths for visitors. Sauna, steam room, and massage services were available. The ship had first-class restaurants and cabins. Third-class passengers enjoyed more cramped lodgings. Tickets to open dorms with no food or facilities are cheap. Traveling was not like the Titanic. She had 1,006 seats in third class, 614 in second class, and 833 in first class. There are almost 900 crew members aboard. The Titanic's greatest allure was her invincibility. According to White Star, when people embrace science and technology, as a result, many Titanic passengers believed the ship could not sink. The Titanic was equipped with watertight safety features. The ship is divided into 16 compartments, with 15 bulkheads above the waterline and 15 below deck. If the doors are penetrated, they shut. Most floaters died since the ocean water was 28 degrees Fahrenheit. The majority of those who were stranded died within 15 to 20 minutes due to a heart attack. 5 of the 500 people were saved by the lifeboats. 2 hours later, the RMS Carpathia arrived. As a result, one ship transported 710 Titanic survivors to New York City. Before the lucky passengers landed in America, the fate of the vessel was probed. The crew and officials disregarded a fire that may have caused the disaster days before the ship departed. Titanic was examined in the United Kingdom and the United States. According to American investigators, the crew did admirably, making the sinking an act of God. Captain Smith followed the rules, but the ship was moving too quickly, particularly with an ice warning, according to the Brits. The Titanic was sunk entirely by an iceberg. Journalist Maloney proposed and offered evidence for a different theory. He thought the ship had been weakened before heading to New York City. Maloney discovered fresh evidence after 30 years of Titanic research. In the early 2010s, he bought Titanic pictures from the relative of Harland and Wolff engineering chief. In the images, Maloney spotted a new Titanic hull characteristic. Ships are identified with 30-foot black markers. Worryingly, the ship's striations would make touch with the iceberg. Maloney requires the assistance of professionals to identify the marks. "We asked some naval architects what this could be," Maloney told Smithsonian in 2017, "and nobody knew, and everybody was intrigued." He discovered one probable explanation for the streak. This, according to the journalist, was a reflection. Maloney disputed that such reflections were caused by the dock or the beach. He dug further since the placement of the marks appeared strange. In 2017, he warned The Independent that these inconsistencies might be severe. "We appear to have a weakness or damage to the hull in that specific place before the Titanic left Belfast," Maloney said. Engineers from Imperial College London then offered a streak explanation. They imagined the Titanic had burnt before taking off. Unusual flames as well. The fire may have been started by the Titanic's 3-story coal stack. According to these experts, 12 guys attempted to put out the fire. The 1,800-degree Fahrenheit fire proved tough to put out. Maloney believes the fire started 3 weeks before the Titanic's debut. The fire was covered by her expedition leaders. After all, it may have slowed or ruined the departure of the unsinkable ship. According to Maloney, the Titanic fire may have harmed the UK's prestige at an unpopular time. According to the Smithsonian, they've been facing massive competition from Germans and others for the valuable immigrant trade. You don't want to mistrust in the British maritime sector. According to Maloney, we have metallurgy experts telling us when you get that level of temperature against steel, it makes it brittle and reduces its strength by up to 75%. If this scenario is right, the Titanic's heat-weakened steel would have fallen when she collided with the iceberg, flooding the below-deck chambers and destroying the Gigantic. Maloney, on the other hand, said that his assertion wasn't novel. Following the Titanic's sinking, engine employees reported a coal fire, and the United Kingdom's disaster inquiry discovered a fire. Despite these red flags, the writer said that the investigation judge understated the seriousness of the incident. Maloney claimed the judge played down the incident because he was a shipping interest judge. Maloney and a few other specialists believe the fire hypothesis since he presided over a toast at the Shipwreck Club. Maloney's notion isn't the first to reinterpret the terrible narrative of the Titanic. Some think the ship was sunk by German U-boats, while others say it was cursed by an old Egyptian curse. Others think the ship sank as a result of an iceberg rather than a pre-launch fire. According to former British Titanic Society Secretary Dave Hill, a fire may have accelerated the sinking. However, I think Maloney disagreed with the original inquiry's iceberg-centric assertions, particularly the notion that the Titanic sank intact. Divers discovered the debris, which had split in two before sinking in 1985. Just because an official finding says it doesn't make it true, Maloney said to Smithsonian. In an interview with The Independent, the journalist said, "The official Titanic inquiry branded the sinking as an act of God. It's a perfect storm of extraordinary factors coming together. Fire, ice, and criminal negligence," Maloney continued. She should never have been abandoned at sea. The majority of the Titanic's inquiries were held before the ship sank. Despite their sophisticated technology, the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute and Maritime Archaeology Consultants team had previously explored the region and found nothing. Finding centuries-old shipwrecks is difficult. The team's November scan yielded better results. Another group claimed to have discovered the 18th century Spanish galleon San Jose, along with a valuable cargo, more than 3 decades earlier. The Colombian authorities were notified by the Sea Search Armada that the San Jose had sunk off its coast, but South American officials were uninterested in their 1981 request to save the property. Exploration came to a stop after years of legal wrangling. From the 15th century through to the mid-1800s, Portugal, Britain, and France traveled across the world in search of new trade partners, including San Jose. After more than 300 years, the Colombian government allowed a state-funded survey to discover the galleon and her jewels. Spain had the greatest early access. Christopher Columbus was dispatched to the Americas by the Spanish. In October 1492, some months after leaving Andalusia, the legendary explorer arrived in the Bahamas. He also made trips to Cuba and Central America. Columbus inadvertently discovered South and Central America when he mistakenly discovered San Salvador in the Caribbean for India. Spain would rule the area. Following its conquests of Peru and Mexico, Spain ruled Argentina and Chile in the southwest of America for 100 years, seizing local resources and almost annihilating indigenous populations. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan undertook the first round-the-world trip that established an empire. Magellan and 4 ships were killed. Spain's fleet transported money, unique delicacies, and rare stones to Europe after conquering the seas and the Americas. San Jose led 17 treasure ships beginning in 1698. Without an heir, Spanish King Charles II left the realm to Philip, Duke of Anjou, Louis XIV's grandson. The French-Spanish alliance might frighten other European nations, sparking a global conflict. As a result, Woods Hole scientists believed they had discovered San Jose. As it approached the wreck, Remus 6000 photographed dolphins etched into its weaponry, verifying the discovery. "We were able to see new details in the wreckage with the new images. The clarity was good enough to see the ornate carving on the guns," Purcell said. San Jose was discovered 3 centuries after it had sunk, but its remnants and position were not revealed until 3 years later. What's the deal with the secrecy? Because the Sea Search Armada discovered the ship, it claimed any loot. The treasure may be demanded by Spain, the owner of the galleon, and the countries whose valuables it brought. According to the logbook of San Jose's sister ship, the wreck's owner would become very rich if the cargo included $17 billion in silver, gold, and emeralds. When it comes to money, sober people just lose their minds, as one lawyer told National Geographic magazine in 2018. While legal battles rage, robbers are barred from entering the San Jose wreck. However, legal wranglings must come to an end. What happens after the crash? The Colombian government plans to build a research center and museum to house and showcase found artifacts. Lifting San Jose and her contents may result in significant loss. UNESCO openly recommended Colombia in 2018 to leave San Jose and her cargo alone, noting that any financial benefit from the tragedy diminishes the site's cultural worth. It makes salvage very touchy, because one is not supposed to intervene in war graves, said Stanford University archaeologist Justin Leidwanger in 2015. Can you recover marine treasures without endangering a battle grave? You just cannot. San Jose remains underwater due to ownership difficulties. We may see $17 billion in wealth from the 18th century Spanish monarchy in the 21st century.